the harmonium on the side.
Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Gopi Namandava Irvana Jaya Gopi Namandava Irvana Gopi Namandava Irvana Jaya Gopi Namandava Gopina Vallabha Girivaraja Jaya Gopina Vallabha Yasodhanana Rajajagarandana Yasodhanana Yasodhanana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayura Madhava Kunjabi Jaya Jayo Radha Madhava Kunjabi Jaya Jayo Radha Madhava Kunjabi Jaya Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaraja Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaraja Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava
Janavalabha Girivardhani Jaya Gauri Janavalabha Girivardhani Yasodhanandana Yasodhanandana Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Jayom Vishvat Brahman Sarvacharya Astrofisina. His Divine Grace, His Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhu Ki Jai. Anant Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guru. Thank you for coming. Just singing these songs, we are going to another world, practically. And we just have to realize this. We are experiencing something that we don't understand what's happening. That it's not an ordinary experience. This Kirtana should become our life and soul, and the rest secondary. In the association of loving devotees. Simple. And without this, you're not going to organize your life at all. So we want to talk today the most confidential knowledge, and we're going to connect it with, because next Wednesday is a very important festival, the appearance day of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the king of all avatars. So it's Krishna himself giving love of God to the whole world. So we're going to celebrate that, of course. And please come also. And we want to connect the verse today with the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Some drop of the nectar. It's too much nectar. We cannot handle all that. But we can touch something. So this is chapter 9, text 14. Please repeat. Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantas Cha Drida Vrata Namasyantas Chamam Bhaktya Nityayukta Upashate Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantas Chadrida Vrata Yatantas Chadrida Vrata Namasyantas Chamam Bhaktya Namasyantas Chamam Bhaktya Nitya Yukta Upashate Nitya Yukta Upashate Sadatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantascha Drida Vrataha Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nitya Yukta Upashate. Somebody wants to repeat?
Satam Kirtayanto Mam
Satam Kirtayanto Mam
Yatantas Tadrida Vrataha
Yatantascha Drida Vrataha
Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya
Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya
Nityayukta Upasate
Nityayukta Upasate.
Satam Kirtayanto
Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Satyascha Namasyantascha Mam Bhaktya Nityayatra Upasate.
Satatam, always, Kirtayanta, chanting, Mam, about me, Yatanta, fully endeavoring, yeah. Cha, also, Drida Vrata, with determination, Namasyanta, offering obeisances, Cha, and Mam, me, Bhaktya, in devotion. Nityayukta, perpetually engaged. Upasate, worship. Translation purport, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Please repeat. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Purport: the Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber standing an ordinary man. His symptoms are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, the personality of Godhead. He has no other business. He is always engaged in the glorification of the Lord. In other words, he is not an impersonalist. When the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising His holy name, His eternal form, His transcendental qualities, and His uncommon pastimes. One has to glorify all these things. Therefore, a Mahatma is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is attached to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmayoti, is not described as a Mahatma in the Bhagavad Gita. He is described in a different way in the next verse. The Mahatma is always engaged in different activities of devotional service as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting about Vishnu, not a demigod and not a human being. That is devotion. Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, and Smaranam, remembering Him. Such a Mahatma has firm determination to achieve at the ultimate end the association of the Supreme Lord in any of the 5 transcendental rasas. To achieve that success, he engages all the activities, mentally, bodily and vocal, everything, in the service of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. That is called full Krishna consciousness. In devotional service there are certain activities which are called determined, such as fasting on certain days, like the 11th day of the moon, Ekadashi, and on the appearance day of the Lord. All these rules and regulations are offered by the great Acharyas for those who are actually interested in getting admission into the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world. The Mahatmas, great souls, strictly observe all these rules and regulations, and therefore they are sure to achieve the desired result. As described in the second verse of this chapter, not only is this devotional service easy, but it can be performed in a very happy mood. One does not need to undergo any severe penance and austerity. He can live this life in devotional service, guided by an expert spiritual master, and in any position, either as a householder, or as a sannyasi, or as a brahmachari, in any position and anywhere in the world, he can perform this devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus become actually a Mahatma, or a very great soul. Om Agyantimandrasya Janandana Salakaya Tasmai Siddha Snirchet Sapraneta Prabhupada Pranam Nam. So here there's the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the most confidential knowledge. So Krishna is advising Arjuna. Always we should understand, there is a supreme teacher, the Supreme Lord, who has perfect knowledge, who is in the perfect position, who is all powerful, all beautiful, and he is teaching the living entity. Right? We are all conditioned souls, so we need teaching. We need spiritual teaching. So, who's going to advise us? Where I'm going to take advice? Which outside sources? Especially nowadays, there are so many sources, and the more options have, the more you become confused. So maybe a little bit from this, a little bit from that, a little bit here, and then it becomes more difficult. Then somebody says, okay, I don't want all this outside information, I just follow my own heart and my own mind. But bad news, also this is a cheater. The heart is not pure and the mind is not pure. What it's going to tell you? It's going to beat you black and blue, that's it. So it's true, you have to get in touch with the inside, because Krishna is giving perfect advice in the Bhagavad Gita, and he also sits in the heart. But you're not going to contact him so easily. You have to go through a whole process before you can have that connection. You have to pay the price. So the price is this, if I read this verse today, the first thing is we have to give up our envy. We are so envious, we cannot imagine. I mean, I am examining my own heart as I reading the verse. Are we really want to recognize the position of the Supreme Lord? Are we really want to recognize Him? Or we just want to recognize our own tendencies, our own plans, our own things? How much we are listening to our own mind, how much we are listening to the Bhagavad Gita, to the Supreme Lord. He can, for sure, guide us. That intelligence we should have. No, I don't trust God, so much misuse. Don't be so easily discouraged by this propaganda. Use your brains. There is a Supreme Lord. Any common person who has a little bit of intelligence can understand there is a higher power. And the way to get His guidance is to bow down. Are we ready to bow down? Not only physically, but in our activities. In our activities, in our behavior to God, in our behavior to Guru, in our behavior to others around us. Are we ready to bow down? So, in this verse we get a description what is a Mahatma. Now that word is quite famous, a Mahatma, and that is used for some personalities. But here it's described what is the actual meaning of a Mahatma. Atma means soul, Maha means big. So who is the great soul here? Who is this great personalities? We need great personalities. Everything is a personal guidance. Nothing can be done impersonally. Just take some teachings and do something. It has to go through a person. Otherwise you're going to be slow like anything. You have to take shelter of a qualified personality. So, here is explained who is a great soul. Who is a great soul? Who bows down to the greatest soul? With all his heart. Eh? You see, that's described here. Although we are always small, the Atma is small, Anu Atma, but he is called Mahatma. If we bow down to the Paramatma. You see? It is all connected. We always remain small. Don't be discouraged with that. Oh, I was thinking I was the center of everything. Maybe I'm not now the center, but I can become the center of everything. Forget about that. Just try to be a servant. We try to become small. By becoming small, you become a big soul. But the meaning of this big soul is not that you become the center of the universe. It means you become a great personality where everybody likes to associate with. The more you get purified, the people get around you like bees. They want to always be with you. And if you don't have that quality, they don't want. So here, Krishna says to Arjuna, you become a Mahatma. And now we see Arjuna is so famous. He's always our example. Whenever we want to learn something, we see how Arjuna acted. What he reacted on the advice of Krishna. So, how becomes a big Mahatma? A purified soul, a pure soul. All the qualities manifest naturally. Because we know the most attractive personality is who? Krishna. See, that's a good thing. Immediately answer. Somebody has to think first. Krishna is the perfect personality. So if we totally connect with him, with humble devotion, we get the same qualities. And qualitatively, we are same. All the qualities Krishna has of character, the Atma will get if he follows the process properly. So Krishna is always joyful, you can see, he's always active, always with his devotees. You become like that. And if you're not there, you have a long way to go. You have to do extra endeavor, you have to go more deep. So this is a 24-hour business, it's not a part-time job. Why the Hare Krishna movement grows slowly but very strong than other religions? Because it's not a part-time religion. It is definitely a religion, relinking with God, but in the purest way. Nothing wrong with God. Everything wrong with the misuse of God. So this is a 24-hour business. It's a full-time job. So we start with a Sunday feast, but it's not finished there. So we should connect with, we have study groups, Bhakti Vriksha groups, and then the whole center becomes dynamic. It becomes a living, breathing community. Not just a time pass, a relax for the Sunday and then nothing anymore or something, right? It should become a total breathing community together. Those who live in the temple and those who live outside the temple, that's one community working together. But that requires more and more dedication. So it just comes in my mind after, if you have some questions of to participate, after you can always contact us and how you want to participate, or at least once in a week we try to set up something on more study groups. It needs more than just a Sunday feast, right? Sunday class is just a sparking, but sparking is not enough, you need cultivation. So come forward, give your names, and we can get more in a systematic practice of those who are experienced, and then we make faster advancement. So let's go to this verse again. Always chanting my glories, right? Endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, and then the great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So this bowing down is not just I have to bow down, because he is big and I'm small, so I have to bow down, right? If I don't do it, they want to criticize me. But like this, it is after intellectual analysis, you put everything on the right position, then you see how wonderful Krishna is. Then naturally you bow down. And so that means with devotion. If you're not clear, no problem. So make it clear. Study the Bhagavad Gita so thoroughly, analyze why Krishna can be God, why he is God, and study that, and then you can come to the position that you bow down with this natural devotion, right? That is the product of transcendental knowledge. And we need not just knowledge in the society. All these educational institutes, so much endeavor, so much money involved, so much governmental organization, brain work, but we are not going far. Why is that? Because it's not knowledge, it's not real knowledge. It's just technical information. Real knowledge means transcendental knowledge. How to get a perfect character. First, when we have perfect character, then we can build community, then we can build politics, then we can build family life. Otherwise it's a mess. The more information you get, the more complication. More information, more complication. That's rhymes. Huh? More information, more complication. Right? We're not going. So we come to real progress, real perfection, when we have transcendental knowledge. And here is explained that this transcendental knowledge culminates in this natural devotion for the Supreme Lord. It's also called this Bhakti Yoga. That's a very scientific process. So, and it is done once you understand it, you become determined. I'm not going to leave this. Now I understand my position. Now I understand what has happened in my existence for many lifetimes. I forgot Krishna. And we all need a perfect friend, we need a perfect relationship that only can be satisfied by nobody else than Krishna.